Hello there. My name is Sam.
And I'm the man with no name, Lance Wayne.
And we're the hosts of The Antagonists, an all-villain podcast. You can join us every other Thursday for a new episode as we discuss all of your favorite villains from books, movies, and more.
Are the villains you love to hate really as wicked as they seem? Tune in and find out.
You can find us on all major podcast platforms or join us over on fearscapemedia.com.
Hey everyone, Ray Robinson here, host of the Unsensitive Podcast. You're probably wondering, what does unsensitive mean? Well, it's a completely made-up word to define a topic that is insensitive to talk about at family gatherings and parties, but you talk about them anyway. New episodes drop every other Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, part of the Fearscape Media Network.
Wishful Drinking and Binge Thinking, a podcast where I get drunk as hell and I give you psychological advice. 'Cause that seems like a good, safe idea. Hi, friends. Hello. My name is Esther Ginger Snap. Yeah, let's go with that. And this is Wishful Drinking and Binge Thinking. Some asshole already stole Binge Thinking as a podcast name. Like it's an actual thing. I don't think there are any fucking scientific articles stating that that's a real phrase in the psychological community, so fuck off with that shit. Hang on, I'm gonna take another sip of wine. Okay, so general disclaimer. I have a master's in clinical psychology. I practiced as a counselor for about 5 years. I currently do not hold any licensure, so you take what I say with a grain of salt, as you should with anyone else trying to give you life advice. If you encounter someone who is a life coach or some other dumb shit, you should probably question what they're telling you. It might be good advice. It might. They could be a very good life coach. But, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so the concept of this podcast is that I am going to get absolutely blitzed and give you psychological advice. Goes hand in hand, doesn't it? Today I am drinking wine. Wine is on tap today. I have almost completed an entire bottle of Huber's Pops Reserve. If people are sponsoring, now is the time to send me free shit, because Huber's, I love your Pops Reserve. It's sugary, it's sweet. It's like alcoholic grape juice that's 13% alcohol, and I've almost completed the entire bottle. 1 second. Okay. There won't be too much of that throughout this because I've almost completed all of it. So, what I really want to get down to is something that I think is very important. It's called being not a dumbass. So I was trying to think of what I should do for my inaugural episode of Wishful Thinking and Binge Drinking. Wait. Wishful Drinking and Binge Thinking. Motherfucker. So one of the things I'm most comfortable with talking about is rational emotive behavioral therapy. And I fucking love this psychological technique for therapizing clients. That's because Albert Ellis, oh my god, I love Albert Ellis. He's probably the best psychologist in existence. I think they did some kind of questionnaire with everyone working in the field about who is the most influential psychologist to them, and Albert Ellis was number 2, right under Carl Jung and right above Sigmund Freud. And we all know that Sigmund Freud was a dumbass who related everything to mommy issues and sex, and Carl Jung was just a fucking parrot who would just repeat back everything that everyone said. I think. Don't quote me on this. It's been about 7 years since I've been in graduate school. Okay, more like 7.5, maybe 8. So Albert Ellis is the fucking bad boy of psychology. He was Tony Stark. He was the guy who would tell everyone they were being fucking idiots, and exactly why. I love Albert Ellis. I'm a fangirl, no doubt. Like BANANAS, no doubt. So Albert Ellis created what is known as rational emotive behavioral therapy. And this is my favorite therapy because it is rational, which is more important to me than anything else. And it's emotive because your emotions are involved. And it's behavioral because your emotions dictate your behaviors, I guess. Sorry. Okay, so basically Albert Ellis developed what is known as rational emotive behavioral therapy. It was developed along the same time as cognitive behavioral therapy, which is kind of the go-to thing for every single counselor out there. Rational emotive behavioral therapy is very similar. I prefer it to cognitive behavioral therapy because it goes along with an unconditional self-acceptance. And that is something that I think a lot of people really need to look into. Like, oh god, I'm fucked up, but you know what? I like myself anyway. That's kind of the goal. So I am just going to get right down to what I think the most important thing about rational emotive behavioral therapy is. And that is cognitive distortions. There are so many unhelpful thinking styles that we have as people that are just kind of fucked up. You know what? I'm going to say it. We're all dumb as shit. And we are constantly letting our brains tell us that certain things are true when we have no evidence backing this up. And that's one of the things that I think is most important, which is why I'm focusing my first episode on this. So many people have looked into the different cognitive distortions that we have as human beings, and a lot of them have come into agreement on the fact that there are a handful of things that we all do as a society, as individuals. This wine's getting to me, sorry. That shit we just need to break down and convince ourselves are not actually things. Hang on, I'm gonna fucking finish this wine off. Let me. Okay. Woo! We're getting into this shit. Alright, so with the help of psychologytool.org, I think it's some kind of British shit, they have come up with what are the 10 most common unhelpful thinking styles, aka cognitive distortions. Now, part of psychology is using correct language to make people feel that they're not dumb as shit or assholes. And calling them cognitive distortions is kind of a way of saying, hey, you're fucked up and we know it. So this is unhelpful thinking styles is a term that many people have started to use to refer to cognitive distortions, because it's saying you're not distorted, you just have a very unhelpful way of thinking. And the truth is, this isn't just for people who have, diagnoses that are findable in the DSM-5. This is for literally everyone. I don't have a DSM diagnosis. I'm one of those rare psychologists that got into it to solve the puzzle of people and not because I have my own issues I need to figure out. So we all do these things. It's just part of being a human, because our brains keep trying to solve problems that aren't even there because they're constantly working and they need something to do. They need to keep their hands busy, god damn it. Anyway, let's jump right into it, because I have no idea how long these episodes are going to last, but you know what? They're going to last as long as I fucking want them to. So, number 1. One of the most common unhelpful thinking styles is all or nothing thinking. A lot of people call this black and white thinking. So life is a gray area, and our unhelpful thinking style is thinking that it's all or nothing. Like, if I'm not perfect, then I have failed. There's no middle ground in that thinking. Like, what the shit are you trying to accomplish with that style of thinking? Like, you have to do it absolutely right, or you can't do it at all. What the fuck? All or none thinking. Like, I have to be an absolute saint or nothing. Or I'm a fucking sinner that goes to hell. Whatever your religious beliefs are, I don't give a shit. But all or none thinking. That's one of those things that just helps you think that you're not the best version of yourself that you can be. But the truth is that life is a general gray area. Nothing is for certain. There are so many examples I could give that it's hard for me to think of one right now, especially with the entire bottle of wine down my gullet. So I'm just gonna move on to the next one. If you have questions, call me about it. Oh, fuck. Okay, the next one is overgeneralizing. Oh, motherfucker. I have so many friends that overgeneralize. They think that if one person thinks something, everyone thinks something. It's seeing a pattern based on one thing, or just being broad in your conclusions. So when someone says, like, I'm always a failure, I never do anything right. Like, I mean, you just texted me that. Did you fail at sending that text? No. There's absolutely no way you could be a failure at everything. Like, you're breathing. You're not failing at inhaling oxygen. Of course you're not a failure at every single thing that it's possible to fail at. You fucking idiot. Just take a step back and look at what you're actually doing. I think overgeneralizing is one of the most common ones that I see as a therapist and as a person. I see so many friends just saying, it's always this way or it's never this way. You know what? That's a red flag word, always or never. Look at when you say those things, because I can guarantee you that you can find an example of something that doesn't happen always or doesn't happen never. You're just overgeneralizing because something didn't happen the way you wanted it to happen. And now you're taking that out on everyone and everything around you. So that's another unhelpful thinking style that I actually think is the most common, overgeneralizing. Fuck. Okay, mental filter. That's number 3. That is only paying attention to certain kinds of evidence. So it's taking a look at your failures but not noticing your successes. That's what most people filter out. So they look at all the times that they've been a failure. They say, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. But they don't take the time to look at when they did this or this or that. They're just concentrating on the things that they think they need to improve. And you know what? We're not all going to be great. Hi, cat. Sorry, one of my cats just decided to hop onto my lap here. Okay, so mental filter. You don't see your successes because you're too busy concentrating on your failures. And we all have failures, honestly. If you look at the richest, most successful people in the world, they've made bad investments. They've done all kinds of shit that doesn't go south because, they have other things in the works. But still, not everyone is 100% perfect at every time. And you can't hold yourself to that standard or you're going to be disappointed every single time. That's just nature. That's just how it works. Nobody is 100% positive, always has success, no matter what. That's impossible. Now we have our next unhelpful thinking style, which is one of my personal favorites because it's something that I do occasionally. And it's disqualifying the positive. You discount all the good things that happen to you or that you've done for some kind of reason. Like, say you volunteer at an animal shelter, but you say that doesn't count because it doesn't benefit anyone. It benefits those fucking animals. A bunch of cats and dogs might have a place to live. You might have benefited them in some kind of way that you don't even know. Don't shut down all the positive things that you do for yourself or for other people or for someone that may not even realizing that they're having something positive done for them. If you throw a quarter at a homeless person, who knows what that quarter is going for? You might have helped buy him that Big Mac that day. I don't know. Shit. But when you disqualify the positive, you say that it doesn't count. You say that, it doesn't count that I gave that homeless person that quarter. But to that homeless person, it may have been the difference between getting a Big Mac or not getting a Big Mac. Shit. I mean, don't disqualify the good things that you do because they could help other people. They could make a difference. You don't know because you don't see the entire result. You're only aware of what you do during the day. So, you know what? Quit trying to make the good things you do seem negative. Okay, the next unhelpful thinking style is the one that I do most often. This is my personal biggie. It's the one I do the most. And it's jumping to conclusions. The reason I do that is because, I've got a master's in clinical psychology. I'm used to trying to figure out what people think and what they mean when they talk. I try to figure out the reasoning behind things. I am the puzzle master trying to put the puzzle together. I jump to conclusions a lot, and I am not always right. And that's a good thing. It helps me and it helps whoever I'm talking to. Say I was in a session with a client and I say, oh, so that makes you feel depressed. And that person might say, no, that doesn't make me feel depressed. It makes me feel angry. Not only does that help me understand the person who I'm talking to, it helps me understand that I don't know everything. My interpretations of things could be totally wrong. And it takes someone else to educate me on other symptoms of certain feelings. So There are two basic kinds of jumping to conclusions. And I do both of these, by the way. But one is mind reading. So many people think that they know exactly what someone else is thinking. That's just not right. It's not. And as much as we like to think that we are brilliant people, we cannot exist in someone else's brain. We don't know what they're thinking. It's impossible unless they open up their mouths and tell us. So when we read someone else's mind, when we imagine that we know what someone else is thinking, we are either going to be wrong or we're going to be kind of right, and they're going to have to qualify. They're going to have to tell us why we're right. Either way, jumping to conclusions doesn't solve many problems. And then, other than mind reading, the other jumping to conclusion that most people do is fortune telling. They think they can predict the future. I can look at someone and think, oh my God, look at this person. They are not going to be successful in therapy. They're not going to open up to me at all. They're going to do this, this, and that. Just because I'm looking at them and I see that their arms are crossed, their legs are crossed, they don't have the body language that's open for therapy. They may be sarcastic, whatever. I've had clients like this, and 2 or 3 sessions in, they start to open up. They start to show me different body language. They show me different things. They start showing me that they're open to the idea of talking out their problems when I thought they never would be, because I jumped to that conclusion. I tried to be a fortune teller and predict the future. I thought they might drop out of treatment and I would never see them again, but that's not true. I've had plenty of people where I thought they would do that, but they didn't, because maybe they connected, or maybe they just wanted help more than I thought they would. I am not God. I am not someone who is all-seeing, all-knowing. I don't have omnipotence. I can't know what another person is thinking. And to do that is just... it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to think I could predict what another person could want or feel unless they tell me in their own words. The next unhelpful thinking style is magnification / minimization. They kind of go hand in hand. Now, magnification is blowing things way out of proportion. It is catastrophizing things. An example I give a lot when I talk about magnification is getting a flat tire. So, say you get a flat tire, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my God, I got a flat tire. If I have a flat tire, I'm not going to be able to make it work. If I can't make it work, I'm not going to be able to get any money. If I don't get any money, I'm not going to get it paid. If I don't get paid, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired. I'm not going to make it work. I already have so many strikes against me. I'm going to get fired. I'm not going to have any money. If I don't have any money, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. And if I can't pay my rent, I'm going to get kicked out. And if I get kicked out, I'm going to get homeless. And if I'm homeless, I'm going to, oh my God, if I'm living on the streets, I don't want anybody to think I'm living on the streets. So I'm going to have to go home. I'm going to have to go home to my parents. And if I go home to my parents, then oh my God, I'm going to be a failure. I'm going to be a failure. I'm going to be a failure that lives with their parents. And oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm not going to have any money. Oh my God, like, what a fucking catastrophe, right? Like, it totally snowballed from having a flat tire. So many people have that line of thought where it starts with one thing and it ends with something totally unrelated. Well, it's not unrelated, but the fact that you can even get to that point is, oh my God, it would take so much. You're blowing things way out of proportion. It started with a flat tire, but all of a sudden you're broken living with your parents. If I don't live with my parents, nobody's going to want to date me. If I don't want to date me, I'm not going to live alone. I'm going to die alone. Okay, so you start with a flat tire and you end with dying alone? What the hell? So many people catastrophize and snowball what they're feeling that they just get to a point where they can't even fixate on normal life because they're too busy fixating on the what ifs. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? Who gives a shit? You're living in the present. Stop it. You're inappropriately thinking about, something that is very unlikely to happen unless a certain amount of things are met. And you're not going to meet those things because if you're an independent person at all, you're not going to let a flat tire lead to you dying alone. Shit. Now, the other side of that is minimization, which is like shrinking something that is important into something that's not important. Like, don't worry, I'm just shooting 2 grams of heroin a day. I don't have a problem. Like, fucking yeah, you do. What normal person shoots 2 grams of heroin a day? Look at what you're doing. Sometimes it takes another person to point out somebody else's minimizations, but if you see it, call it out. If you notice that you're doing it, like, oh, I think I'm living a normal life, but I'm doing meth all the time. That's not normal. Call yourself out on that shit, because you can make yourself seem like something is less important than it actually is, but that is just gonna fuck you up in the long run. Goddamn, girl, guy, shit, figure it out. Alright, emotional reasoning is the next unhelpful thinking style. It's thinking that because you feel a certain way, that something must be true. Like, oh God, I just fucked up in front of all these people. I embarrassed myself, so I must be a total idiot. Well, that's not entirely true. You might not be an idiot. Just because you mess something up doesn't mean you're a moron. Jesus. Sometimes when we feel a certain way, it makes us think that we are a certain way. Embarrassment is one of the easiest things to pick up on with this, because, say I'm doing a podcast and I feel like an idiot because I'm sitting alone in my apartment and talking to myself. I might feel like a fucking idiot, but I'm not. We just take what we feel to be true. And that's emotional reasoning. I mean, if we feel like we're worthless or terrible people, if we are depressed to the nth degree, then we might feel like we're not a good person. But that doesn't mean you're not a good person. It just means you're not feeling great right now. Emotional reasoning doesn't mean much, and we need to figure out when we are letting our emotions dictate our normal behavior. Okay, my next unhelpful thinking style is my absolute favorite, because going back to Albert Ellis, he's a goddamn legend. He developed this unhelpful thinking style known as should or must, and he came up with some fun phrases for this. He called it shoulding all over yourself. And this is when you think that things that start with should be real. So, this person should be treating me with respect. I should be in charge at work. I should be this. I should be that. You know what? You're shoulding all over yourself. Because, things are the way they are. And if you keep thinking that things should be a certain way, you're gonna be disappointed. He also came up with the phrase masturbation, which is basically the same thing. Masturbation. Things must be a certain way. I must be the best at my job. I must be the best person at work. I must be the best person in my family, or my parents won't, think that I'm the best. So it makes us feel like we're guilty or that we failed if we don't meet our musts or shoulds. And then when we apply shoulds and musts to other people, like, they should be treating us with respect. They should be doing this or that. They must tell me that I'm amazing. And when they don't do that, we get upset because we put these expectations on them that shouldn't be there in the first place. Like, why should I expect anyone to do anything? I barely expect myself to do anything. Why is this something that's upsetting me? Anyway, we've got another unhelpful thinking style called labeling. Oh my god, if I had a fucking nickel for the amount of times that people around me labeled them goddamn selves. Oh shit. See, I used to work in addictions. I had so many people saying, hi, I'm an alcoholic, hi, I'm a heroin addict, blah, 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 blah. They put labels on themselves, and that's good in that respect because they're able to say, this is my issue, I'm working on it. But sometimes people put labels on themselves like, I'm useless, I'm a degenerate, I'm an asshole. Well, yeah, if you put a label on yourself as something, you're gonna try to act in a way that lives up to that label. I mean, I have plenty of people that I worked with in addiction assistance where they were saying, oh, I'm a heroin addict, I can't help it, I can't help myself, I'm just gonna keep going back and doing it and showing up in detox constantly to be your client. But then I had other people that would own that label. They would say, hi, I'm a heroin addict. I don't want to be anymore. I'm taking control of my situation. Fuck. I mean, it depends on how you look at the label you give yourself. If you say, I'm a loser, you're going to believe that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if a teacher says, oh, that kid's bad at math, and then that kid believes it. They think, oh shit, I'm bad at math. Why should I even try? And then they stop trying. So consequently, they're fucking bad at math. What do you think's going to happen? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you put a label on yourself, of course, you're going to run into some shit where you don't live up to what you want to be because you've labeled yourself as stupid or idiot or useless or dumbass. I don't give a shit. Quit labeling yourself with such stupid shit unless you're gonna own that label. Be confident in your ability to say, yeah, I'm stupid, but you know what? I listen when people talk and I try to learn whenever people try to tell me shit. So I don't think I'm stupid. I'm just ignorant and trying to learn. Change your label whenever you can. If you find yourself labeling yourself, you should, ask yourself why you're being such a fucking bitch to you. Alright, my last unhelpful thinking style of the top 10 unhelpful thinking styles, which I probably didn't even describe well enough before because fuck a whole bottle of wine. Anyway, the last one is personalization. It's blaming yourself or taking responsibility for something that's not really your fault. Oh, or you know, it's like oh fuck. Say you're a fan of a sports team and you think that their loss is your fault because you didn't wear the jersey you always wear when they win. That's personalization. You think their loss is your fault, even though it has absolutely fucking nothing to do with the game that they played. Like, your team is just shit. They lost because they suck, not because you forgot to wear, the lucky jersey. God damn, don't be an idiot. Or it's personalization could also be something that is the exact opposite. It's blaming other people for something that is your fault. A lot of people also push blame onto someone else for something that they absolutely know is their fault. Like, oh shit, I set that barn on fire, but you know what? Those cows shouldn't have been in there in the first place. They wouldn't have gotten caught if I hadn't lit the match. That's fucking stupid. It's also not a very good example, but you know what? I've had a bottle of wine, so fuck you! These are just some very common cognitive distortions / unhelpful thinking styles that you will see a lot in therapy or not in therapy if you don't want to go and just keep looking up your nonsense online instead of talking to an actual human person. By the way, this podcast is not an amalgamation of everything psychology. It is not a like, you can't replace actual therapy with this podcast. Don't try to do that, you dumb. Anyway, what I'm saying is that I like rational emotive behavioral therapy. It helps you point out cognitive distortions, things that aren't quite right in your brain, thinking styles that get you moving in a depressive or anxious pattern that are not healthy. So you need to question those things. So episode 2 of this lovely podcast, Wishful Drinking and Binge Thinking, is to create challenging questions that look at these cognitive distortions and start to poke holes at the flaws of the logic that these things create within us. And I just hope that you ask more questions of yourself, of others, of everything in your life. Because just accepting things the way they are hasn't worked out for you too well in the past, has it, bud? Anyway, my point is that, we have a lot of thinking patterns that work against us. I am not immune to this, despite my lack of diagnoses and basic level emotional anxiety, etc. I'm a fairly normal person, and I still do this shit. This is just something that humans do. Accept it as part of who you are and who you're always going to be. The question is, how are you going to become good at questioning these beliefs that make you feel like shit? The better you get at it, the happier you're going to be in the long run. And I am here to try to make you feel happy. I guess. I don't fucking know. So join us probably for episode 2, where I will talk about challenging questions. Which is to say, I want you to figure out which cognitive distortion / unhelpful thinking style you think you do the most. Like I said, I do jumping to conclusions the most. Absolutely. I do a little bit of magnification / catastrophization, snowballing, whatever you want to call it, and disqualifying the positive. I do occasional labeling. I do. I call myself an idiot, blah, blah, blah. We all do this no matter how healthy we are. So figure out what you do. And the next episode I do, we're going to talk about ways to challenge those beliefs, because once you identify the ones that cause you the biggest problems, you can figure out which questions you need to ask yourself to make sure that you can absolutely fucking destroy those beliefs, because those beliefs are assholes. They're fucking assholes that are trying to take over your brain and make you feel like you're not worth shit. But you are. You're worth shit. You're worth dirt. You're worth everything above shit and dirt. You're amazing, and I love you. I don't even know you, but fuck it, I love you. Which is a lot for me to say, because I don't say I love you to anyone. Actually, don't take that to heart. Focus on the people that are close to you in your life and take their I love yous to heart. What the fuck else should I say? Oh my god. You know what? Love each other. Have each other's backs. Ignore this crackly sound in the background, because I fucking don't know how to use podcast equipment, and it's gonna be slightly crackly from here on out. I know this. Fuck. Anyway, I love you all, even though I don't know you. I hope you have a happy new year. This 2021, it's going to be our year. Oh my God. But not really. Listen, you can only make changes if you want to make changes. And if this is your deal, stick with the fucking podcast and I'll try to help make you a healthier individual. If you're just an asshole or a person who thinks, you know what, I don't need someone else's help, I can do this on my own, then fucking branch off. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna keep drinking and telling people what's up. Yeah. Okay. See you next time. Peace.